Hello fellow citizens of YouTube, my name is Hatt, and this is the Guild Wars 2 rundown of the Elementalist weapon skills. First up, we have dual-wielding daggers, starting with the fire attunement. Dragon's Claw is a basic auto attack that shoots a short-range spread of fire out in front of you. As with all the other first skills on the hotbar, it is used automatically in combat. Drake's Breath continuously sprays a cone of fire in front of you for a short time that burns enemies and continues to do damage to them for a few seconds. Moving while casting this skill won't interrupt it. Burning Speed dashes you forward, inflicting damage to those you hit. It leaves behind a trail of fire that burns enemies walking through it. Ring of Fire damages nearby foes and leaves behind a circle of flames for several seconds that burns enemies passing through it. Firecraft sprays fire in a cone in front of you that damages enemies. The damage is increased if they're already inflicted by a burn condition. Now we'll look at the water-attuned dual dagger skills. The first one is your auto attack, Vapor Blade. This flings a blade of vapor at your enemy that returns back to you. Each hit deals damage and inflicts vulnerability, lowering their defense. Cone of Cold, a skill behaving a similar way to Drake's Breath, sprays ice in a cone in front of you that damages enemies while also healing allies. Frozen Burst creates an AoE burst of ice around the caster that damages nearby enemies and inflicts chill on them, slowing their speed and skill recharge rate. Frost Aura cloaks you in an icy shield for a small duration. While it is active, enemies that strike you are chilled. Cleansing Wave creates a small AoE splash of water around yourself, healing you and your nearby allies, removing a condition from each affected. Switching to the air attunement, your auto attack becomes Lightning Whip. You lash out at your foe with an electric whip, dealing damage. Lightning Touch sends out a small AoE burst of electricity that damages foes and inflicts vulnerability on them. Shocking Aura cloaks yourself in electricity for a short amount of time. During this duration, if enemies attack you, they are momentarily stunned. Ride of Lightning dashes you forward a large distance. If you collide with an enemy during this time, you are halted and deal damage to the surrounding foes. Updraft launches you away from your foes and lunges them away from you. And for a short duration after using this skill, you gain swiftness, increasing your movement speed. Now we have the Earth Attunement dual dagger attacks. Impale is an auto attack that strikes the enemy from below with a sharp stone pillar, inflicting damage and causing bleeding, which does damage over time for a short amount of time. Ring of Earth causes a circle of sharp stone spears to raise around you, inflicting damage and bleed on any foe struck. Magnetic Grasp pulls yourself towards a foe, dealing damage and temporarily immobilizing them. Earthquake shakes the ground at your feet, knocking down nearby enemies and doing a large amount of damage to them. Turning Earth shakes the ground around you violently for several seconds, crippling enemies before resulting in a shockwave that damages enemies and causes bleeding.
Bad shape here.
And now for the main-handed scepter and off-handed focused weapon set, we have the fire-attuned auto attack of Flame Strike. Strikes flames at a medium distance, causing burning and damage. Dragon's Tooth creates a floating dragon's tooth above your foes, which after a second drops and explodes, dealing damage and inflicting burn. Phoenix releases a fiery phoenix that does damage in a line before reaching its destination, releasing an AoE burst of damage and returning, granting vigor to the caster. Flame Wall creates a wall of flames at target location that lasts for several seconds, dealing damage and burning enemies that walk across it. Fire Shield cloaks yourself in fire for a few seconds, burning enemies that strike you during this time. For the Scepter and Focus Water Attunement, your auto attack becomes Ice Shards, which fires 3-star device at your foe, dealing damage. Shatterstone creates a spear of ice at target location. After 2 seconds it explodes, dealing damage and inflicting vulnerability on any foes nearby. Water Trident throws a trident at target location, dealing damage to enemies and healing allies nearby.
This is getting serious.
Freezing Gust inflicts a small amount of damage on your foe and chills them for a brief period of time. Comet drops a comet at target location, dealing damage and dazing enemies in a small area. The air attunement auto attack is Arc Lightning. Arc Lightning does a constant stream of damage over several seconds. Lightning Strike simply strikes a foe of electricity, doing moderate damage. Blinding Flash inflicts blind on an opponent, which lasts for several seconds. Swirling Winds creates a localized gust that destroys enemy projectiles for several seconds. Gale knocks down an opponent with a strong gust of wind. The Earth Attunement auto attack Stone Shards throws rocks at your foe, causing bleeding with each hit. Rock Barrier gives you a shield of rocks that improves armor for a long duration. Dust Devil throws a cloud of sand at your foes, inflicting damage and causing blindness for several seconds. Magnetic Wave uses a magnetic pulse to damage nearby foes, remove conditions from yourself, and reflect projectiles. Obsidian Flesh envelops yourself in rock, making you temporarily invulnerable. The last weapon is the Staff. The Fire Attunement auto attack is Fireball, which throws a ball of fire at an opponent, which explodes and does area of effect damage. Lava Font creates an eruption at target location which continues to do damage for several seconds. Flame Burst creates a burst of fire at target location, burning nearby enemies. Burning Retreat propels yourself backwards, doing damage on contact and leaving behind a trail of fire that burns enemies passing through it for several seconds. Meteor Shower calls down a rain of fiery rocks over the target area, inflicting damage randomly throughout the area for a period of time. Water Attunement auto attack is Water Blast. Water Blast sprays a jet of water at the target foe, dealing damage to him and healing nearby allies. Ice Spike summons a giant shard of ice above target location, which drops a few seconds later, inflicting damage and vulnerability on anything hit. Geyser creates a small AoE fountain of water that continuously heals allies standing on it for several seconds.
Hope I pull through.
Frozen Ground covers the target area in ice, chilling enemies that enter it. Healing Rain causes the rain in target location, granting regeneration to allies within it and removing conditions every few seconds. The Staff's air attunement auto attack is Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning fires a bolt of electricity that bounces between enemies, dealing damage with each hit. Lightning Surge creates a charge of electricity at target location, which explodes after a moment, damaging nearby enemies and blinding them in the process. Gust knocks foes in front of you backwards with a gust of air. Windborne Speed grants you and nearby allies swiftness, increasing movement speed while removing limiting conditions such as cripple, immobilize, and chill. Static Field creates a field of electricity that lasts for several seconds, stunning and damaging enemies crossing through it. The Earth Attunement auto attack is Stoning. Stoning hurls a rock at your foe, inflicting weakness and damaging them. Eruption shakes the ground at target location, eventually causing it to erupt, dealing damage and inflicting bleed to nearby enemies. Magnetic Aura temporarily reflects projectiles of magnetic field.
I need healing. Seriously.
Unsteady ground shakes the ground at target location in a line, damaging and crippling enemies passing through it. Shockwave fires a pulse of energy at a target enemy, damaging them and anybody hit, while immobilizing them and inflicting bleeding. This has been Hatt, and thank you for watching. Be sure to look for part 2 of the Elementalist weapon skills, which will cover the underwater skills.